Hello, welcome back to my world of stuff. I just wanted to do a little video a few days after the announcement. I know a lot of people have done it by now, the usual clickbait merchants who just want people to click on the videos without actually saying anything new. I just wanted to post my comments on the announcement of the release of the upcoming Doctor Who collection Blu-ray set, Season 9, starring John Pertwee. This was announced, I think it was on Thursday. Could have been Wednesday. I think it was Thursday. Anyway, it was announced last week. It's Sunday when I'm recording this. Yeah, the latest in the BBC's Doctor Who Blu-ray collection is Season 9 of Doctor Who. It's a John Pertwee season. It's the third John Pertwee season. I'm very pleased to see this coming because this is classic Doctor Who for me. We've had a lot of the later seasons, the Peter Davison, Sylvester McCoy, Colin Baker seasons, which aren't great, but they are supported by excellent archive material and original documentaries and so on. And those are the main selling points, I have to say, for these sets. That's why I tune into these sets and buy these sets regularly. It's not just the improved picture and sound quality, which you do get. I mean, these are Blu-rays that aren't in high definition, so they're upscaled. They look fantastic. These Doctor Who episodes that come out on these discs never look better. This is the ultimate way of collecting Doctor Who. I just wanted to record my thoughts on Season 9 arriving, because Season 9 is a favourite season of mine, even though two of the 5 serials aren't actually very good. Pertwee is my favourite classic Doctor. I would have said Tom Baker a couple of years ago, but a friend of mine, when we used to do our podcast, he did a run through of classic Doctor Who, and he thought Pertwee was superb. And in doing that, I revisited a lot of Pertwee myself, and I have to concur. I think it's not just his performance, it's the era. It was a great era. It was generally, the stories were generally really good, very imaginative. Of course, it was Doctor Who in colour for the first time, so it was able to sort of really exploit that. But Pertwee had this authoritarian figure, this look of him, this upright British gentleman type in his velvets and frills and his increasingly bouffant hair. And I think he was there when I really started getting properly into Doctor Who. And I think that, like a lot of people, I went down the Tom Baker rabbit hole of thinking, oh no, he's fantastic. And he is. But I think the problem with Tom Baker is he stayed too long and his performance became a little bit too erratic and a little bit too zany after his first 3 seasons, which are fantastic. But then it sort of becomes a little bit more uncontrolled, shall we say. John Pertwee, however, maintained his equilibrium right across his 5 years. He was as good at the beginning as he was at the end, even though he was looking older towards the end. And his last season was a bit shoddy in some places. But generally, his performance was, and I like that whole characterisation of the Doctor. I think it's described at times as the Harley Street type Doctor. And I think that's an interesting way of describing him. So Season 9 is a nice batch of episodes. There are 3 classic stories in there. Season starts off with Day of the Daleks, first Dalek serial for 5 years. Often gets a lot of criticism because the way the Daleks were presented, the voices were off. There are only 3 props. So the idea of the Daleks having invaded Earth in the 22nd century seemed a little hard to cope with. But it's a really good story. It is the story of the Terminator. It's a group of terrorists from the future coming back to the past, to the very moment when Earth was plunged into a crisis that caused the Daleks to step in and invade. However, what they don't realise is that they caused that moment of crisis by going back in time. It's a sort of a time loop type situation. Really good story. It's lots of great action sequences in it. And there is an extended edition which was released previously on DVD, which I'm sure will be on the Blu-ray, with updated special effects and additional Daleks to bulk the army up a little bit. But I think it's such a good story, a really good story, good script by Louis Marks. Gets a lot of criticism, but I think it's got a real pace and energy to it, and I think it really stands out well. Next up we have Curse of Peladon. This was the return of the Ice Warriors after again, about 4 or 5 year gap. But Brian Hales, the creator of the Ice Warriors, who wrote this story, he put a little spin on it, in that it turns out that the Ice Warriors aren't the baddies in this story. It's the story of the Doctor and Jo finding themselves on the planet Peladon. Now that the show started using the conceit now, although the Doctor's in exile, the Time Lords are using him as a secret agent now and again and dropping him into difficult situations to try and sort them out before whipping him back to Earth, which was a nice idea, which ran for several years. Here they go to the planet Peladon, which is a sort of primitive medieval planet of guttering torches on the wall and stone chambers and gladiatorial contests and stories of strange beasts and high priests and so on. This planet is about to be about to join the Galactic Federation, which will give it a certain level of civilization and sophistication, but there are forces working against that. It's a nice atmospheric little story. I remember at the time watching it, I'd enjoyed the Dalek story so much. This seemed much more insular. It was all studio based, and it was all because of dark corridors and things. But I think it's a story that's improved with age. It'll be interesting to see how this looks, because I think the BBC only ever had a black and white version. Then they had a poor quality colour version, which was returned from Canada, I think. It looks from the clip on the very nice trailer for the box set, which I'll talk about in a moment, that they've managed to spruce it up even more. So I'm hoping it's going to have a real nice vividity to it. Vividity? With vividness to it. Then is one of my absolute favourites. It's the Sea Devils. This is the classic Doctor Who story, where the Doctor and Jo go and visit the Master, who's been locked up for his crimes against humanity in a prison just off the south coast, but he's in contact with a reptilian form of life called the Sea Devils, cousins to the Silurians from Pertwee's first season, and they, like the Silurians, want their planet back. It's a really good action-packed romp. It's filmed with a massive assistance of the Royal Navy, which gives it a real sort of cinematic feel to it, some great battle scenes, great banks between the Doctor and the Master. Can't believe I used that word. And it has a real nice open feel about it. There's a lot of location film. It's a really good story. Then the season ends with two slight clunkers, but enjoyable enough. The mutants sees the Time Lord send the Doctor and Jo off to the planet Solos, which is going to get its independence with the Earth Empire in the future. But the planet has a strange life cycle, and the people on the planet mutate into these sort of crab-type, humanoid, sort of crabby-type things. I think they've often been described as walking scampi, which I think is a fair description. It's not a great story. Some of the performances are a bit iffy. It's one of those Doctor Who's that's set in space, which are never hugely convincing in the 70s because, budget wasn't there. But it's quite good fun, but it goes on a bit. It's 6 episodes. And the series ends with the Time Monster back on Earth, with UNIT again, which is always fun to see them return, investigating the experiments with Tom Tit, a device being experimented with by a mysterious scientist at a remote research place outside London. I won't spoil it if you haven't seen it, but an old enemy returns. It's a bit of a clunker, this one. The monster is a bit ropey. It's a man in a cardboard bird suit flapping about. The stuff in Atlantis doesn't really work. But it's very ambitious, as Doctor Who always is, and it's always watchable, but it's not a great story. So that's season 9, coming to Blu-ray in March. Again, lots of great special features. We've got some stuff with Katie Manning, and it makes you realise that she's the only, apart from Richard Franklin and John Levine, who played Yates and Bent, the only main cast member from that era still alive, and there's nobody left from the production team, really. Barry Letts, the producer, is gone. Terence Dix, the script editor, is gone. Lots of the writers are gone. The directors are gone. So we're very lucky to get good quality bonus material for these increasingly old runs of Doctor Who. But I think we've got Katie Manning travelling to the locations, and this was fairly location heavy season, so yeah, it's quite a good idea to go back to the locations. And I always love stuff like that. I love seeing places where things were filmed, especially if they haven't changed much. I think there's also a making of documentary for the Time Monster, because there wasn't one on the DVD. There seems to be a documentary about Michael Bryant, one of the surviving 70s directors, who I think now is a passionate sailor. There seems to be a documentary about Stuart Fell, the stuntman who appeared in so many Doctor Who stories, and the usual behind the sofa features where various Doctor Who cast, past and present, watch truncated versions of the episodes and past comment. They're always entertaining. So it's a nice batch of supplementary material for a great Doctor Who season. You'll have seen the trailer. It's a lovely trailer featuring Katie Manning as Jo Grant. It's very poignant because it reflects the reality of the loss of her former partner Stuart Bevan, who played Cliff Jones in the series that Jo Grant was supposed to have married. He's passed away in real life, the actor, and the character has as well. Doctor Who's sort of keeping up with real life. It's a very nice little 7-minute, I think it's a 7-minute feature directed and written by Pete McTeague, which features a return of a Sea Devil, and it's just a nice little thing. I love the way that they do these mini films to introduce these Blu-ray box sets, and it reminds us that we're very lucky to have Doctor Who, classic Doctor Who, so well served on physical media at a time when physical media is said to be dying out. Doctor Who gets the respect it deserves with these Blu-ray box sets by people who are passionate about it and want to give the fans good quality material, whether they deserve it or not. Anyway, that's season 9 of Doctor Who. I got my pre-order, and I think it's out the end of March, 23rd, something like that. You can find it online. You can order it from HMV, Zavvi, all the usual places, and it'll be available in whatever stores still sell this stuff. So that's my thoughts on season 9. I'm really looking forward to it. I do like seeing these classic seasons. Looking forward to seeing the remaining 2 Pertwee seasons and the remaining Tom Baker seasons. And just seeing the series completed. I think this is the 12th box set. So we're coming up to sort of halfway through Doctor Who's run being released on Blu-ray. I did enjoy season 2, which came out the end of last year. I will do an opening, an unboxing when this arrives. Let me know what you think of this box set. What do you think of these Doctor Who Blu-rays? Do you think they're a waste of time? Can you not tell the difference in quality between the DVDs and Blu-rays? Do you like the special features or don't you? Let me know what you think. Why not leave a comment down below? You can also subscribe to this channel. It would be a marvellous thing to do. You can also look at the Facebook page there, where I post things occasionally. And you can like and subscribe and all sorts of stuff. Anyway, I'll see you soon. Until I do, you know what they say. Yeah, keep taking the stuff.